Joins us now. Welcome to This Week, Governor Kasich. Good to see you again. I want to get to the broader issues of the Republican Party in a minute, but let's start out with these issues of police violence. The Attorney General week said he found probable cause of a pattern of excessive force in the Cleveland Police Department. Do you accept the conclusion, and what can you as governor do about it?
Well, George, you know, the mayor of Cleveland, Frank Jackson's done a great job. He's working closely with the Justice Department to make sure that they are able to comply with the kind of things that the Justice Department has seen. As you know, just on Friday, with 3 African-American women, Senator Nina Turner is kind of the lead on that. I've agreed to create a task force to look across the state at what we can do to be able to respond to people who are increasingly frustrated and feel shut out. Now, this is not something that we just stumbled upon. I've been thinking about an agenda for our minority community for a while, but this kind of rises to the top. And I think, you know, what it gets down to is when there is a significant percentage of your country that believes that the system's not working for them but can be working against them, they need to be listened to and they need to be responded to. And, George, when you think about it, in our country today, there's too much division, too much polarization. Black, white, rich, poor, Democrat, Republican. America does best when we're united. Ohio does best when we're united as a family.
Is this a bipartisan moment around this issue? We just heard Mayor de Blasio lay out his agenda for this. Is this something where you can have common cause with people like Mayor de Blasio, President Obama?
Well, there isn't any question that when you have a big chunk of the community that says we've been left out, and look, we've been addressing that in the 4 years I've been in. For example, as you know, there's a great road between downtown Cleveland and the Cleveland Clinic. We're going to spend $400 million fixing that, improving that road, and we've set aside 20% of all of those dollars for minority contractors to be able to become majority contractors, to promote entrepreneurship. So this is something that we have been aware of for a long time, because in Ohio, what works best is when everybody feels as though they have a chance, that everybody who has grievances can be heard. And that's what we're doing in the state, trying to lift everyone, whether you're a minority, whether you are disabled, whether you are mentally ill. We want everybody to at least have the sense that somebody listens to them and that there's a place for them in our society. It's, I think, what the Lord wants us to do, George.
We just heard Mayor de Blasio lay out a blueprint for the Democrats on their economic agenda. You talked about leading a movement of hope, not only in your state, but around the country after your reelection in November. Lay out the blueprint for Republicans nationally.
Well, first of all, it does start with jobs. I just spoke to a group of people who were involved in the community in fighting infant mortality. And what I said right off the bat is everybody has to have a sense that they can get a job. Everyone has to have a sense that their life can be better. When I look at economic development, whether it's tax cuts or deregulation or whatever, economic growth is not an end unto itself. Economic growth is terrific, but it should lead to helping people who live in the shadows. And that's exactly what we've done in Ohio. So we help the drug addicted. We help the mentally ill. We help the working poor. We're reforming welfare so that people just don't get help without some personal responsibility and the ability to move beyond their condition to prosperity. To me, it's just that simple. One other thing I would say. We will never be great in America when we tear down the successful to build somebody else up. I mean, that's not my thoughts. That's Abraham Lincoln. So the fact is, get economic growth going, create the sense that you can get a job, but then move beyond that when you have more prosperity to help people to get on their feet.
You've been at odds with other conservatives on a number of issues, expanding Medicaid in your state, supporting those Common Core education standards, expressing some openness to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, and you've won big in a key state. Is there a lesson there for the
Well, George, I think there's forget just about the GOP. Let's just talk about leaders. Again, as I said at the top here, when people don't think they're included, when people don't think they have a chance, it creates divisions. Our country's strongest when people are united. Simple, it's the bottom line. Now, on Medicaid expansion, I'm able to bring Ohio money back to Ohio, because I know what they do with it in Washington, and I can use it to treat the mentally ill. I can use it to help the drug addicted. Why wouldn't I do that, George? That's common sense to me. So that in our state, most Ohioans now have a positive outlook. I want to double down on that and to make sure that we're not weak. You know me, I can fight with the best of them. But at the end of the day, leaders have to unite, not divide.
You know, got to ask you about possible run for president. When you were asked about it back in March, you had a pretty blunt answer. You said, I'm just not interested in it. Is that still true?
Well, George, well, look, you knew you were never going to get a good answer out of me here today.
Well, I didn't get a yes.
You know, let me just say this, George. Let me say this. You've risen to the top of ABC. I want to see whether you're going to run for president, because I know how tough you'd be. Look, bottom line is, we're doing infant mortality now. We're doing our task force on race. We got 1,000 things we're doing and a budget that's going to be comprehensive. That's my focus at this point in time.
That's your focus, but you're not repeating you're not interested in running for president. I'll take that one to the bank. And before you go, big win for the Buckeyes last night, 59-0 over Wisconsin. They going to make the college football playoffs?
Well, let me tell you, you know, when I talk about uniting, if we don't get in, that will be a ripoff. So to the committee, pick us, please. Pick us. We deserve it.
Okay, Governor Kasich, thanks a lot for your time this morning.